Boogeyman Ben. Horror Zone.
Hey everyone, it's Boogeyman Ben. Hope everyone's doing well and everyone had a great day. This video is going to be, initially it was going to be last week, so this is going to be my Comic Book Wednesday segment for this week, which would be Wednesday, May the 20th of 2015. And as I said before in the last Comic Book Wednesday segment I did, which was 2 weeks ago, that the next one I was going to do was going to be focusing on my favorite superhero. And this is one that Arkham Knight 84 asked about. He had mentioned that he was curious about like what my favorite superhero was, and I had mentioned that I was going to do one on my favorite superhero, my favorite supervillain. The favorite supervillain is probably going to be the next one that I do, and that'll probably be next week. But for this week, I want to do my favorite superhero, and my favorite superhero, if no one has guessed it yet, is the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk has been a staple in my life for as long as I can remember, going back to 1977 when I was 3 years old, and I saw the Lou Ferrigno, Bill Bixby television series that was on CBS. That was my first introduction to the character, way before I even started getting the comic books, and that show is and always will be one of my favorite shows of all time. Now this poster here I actually got at one of the horror conventions I went to, and it was amazing that I found this because when I was a kid, at my dad's house, because my parents were divorced, and on weekends I would stay with my dad, I had this exact poster. It was a lot bigger. It was a much bigger poster. It was almost like a regular theatrical poster, but it was pretty big, and it was on my bedroom wall, and in my dad's, in the room that I stayed in when I was at my dad's. And the thing that I loved about this poster is that I remember when I was a kid, I used to pretend that the Hulk was real and that I could see him flexing his arms. I would squint my eyes and stare at this poster forever. And, Lou Ferrigno as the character was just amazing to me and just fascinating. And I absolutely loved Bill Bixby as Banner. Just absolutely loved this show. And this poster has a lot of great memories, and I was so happy I was able to find one. Now, I have every season of the show on DVD. It ran for 5 seasons. I have all 5 seasons, and I even have the TV movies that actually premiered in 1988, 89, and 90. Yeah, I think the television series was just fantastic, and I think what worked about this show is that it was a very human show, even though, of course, Banner is changing into a monster in it. But you really felt for the Banner character and the way that he was persecuted by McGee, the reporter, played by Jack Colvin, who was, again, fantastic in the show. But yeah, this shows to me, I know a lot of people might say now it's cheesy, the effects are, silly, and it's, very dated, but for me, this still retains the heart that I remember loving. I just remember loving this as a kid, and it's still so much fun for me to watch. I think the heart of the show lays on the shoulders of Bill Bixby. I mean, I think he was just fantastic as the title character, and it so saddens me that he passed away so long ago. He passed away in 1993 after suffering from prostate cancer for several years. And he was in a tremendous amount of pain before he passed away, and it breaks my heart because I absolutely loved him in this role. And he did go on to, after the show, the show was canceled in the early 80s, he would bring the character back, and the Return of the Incredible Hulk would premiere in 1988, and I remember I was so excited to see this come back. And the thing that I never was crazy about with Return of the Incredible Hulk was the inclusion of Thor. I just didn't think it was necessary. I did feel like the essence of what the show was really really handled well in the first television movie, because there was 3 TV movies that would span over 3 years. So you had the Return of the Incredible Hulk in 1988, then you had Trial of the Incredible Hulk in 1989. It was probably my least favorite of the 3, and then Death of the Incredible Hulk in 1990. And unfortunately, this would be the last appearance of Banner, of Bill Bixby as David Banner, and he actually directed this one and Trial of the Incredible Hulk, and he did a fantastic job. And of course, Lou Ferrigno would come back and play the character, and just like they never left the roles. I mean, they were fantastic. And the thing that this one works for me so much more than Trial and Return is because it's just a solo Hulk movie. It doesn't have you know, any other Marvel characters. They were trying to do shows based on the other Marvel characters, but they just didn't work for me. But this one, you know, it's a sad ending, and you know, they had always decided they were going to do Rebirth of the Incredible Hulk, which was going to be what's going to follow this one up the next year. But then Bill Bixby got cancer, so he was never able to do the next film in the series. And I really don't know, you know, what initially drew me to it, because like I said, I was 3 years old when the show first started, and I don't even remember if I started watching it at 3 or 4. I just remember I was fascinated by this. I wasn't scared of it. I loved, even as a kid, I think I remember watching the Bugs Bunny cartoon with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and for me, this was what this show was like. You know, it was about a man turning into a monster, and I was always fascinated by that. And yeah, I just was so into this show. I remember it was on Friday nights, and I remember I always watched it, either, you know, when I was at my dad's or with my mom. And I always wanted a book with the Hulk in it. And, you know, I said I wanted a Hulk book. I still remember saying that to my mom when I was a little kid. And I actually have the first comic book of the Incredible Hulk that she ever gave me. Now, back then, in the town where I grew up, there wasn't, like, comic book stores. But 7-Eleven used to have comic books. They had a comic book rack. And sometimes when I go to Flying Colors Comics, I'll see that same style of comic book rack. It's like a metal rack that you can spin around. And this is the very first Incredible Hulk comic that she ever gave me. It's pretty battered and ripped up, but again, she gave this to a 3-year-old, and I think she actually taped some of it up eventually because it was just, you know, so battered. And you know, I took this book everywhere with me, and you know, it was from then on that I just had the bug of, you know, loving this character and, you know, trying to get every comic book I could. You know, and I would get them, and like pages are coming out. But yeah, this is really, really old. But it's amazing I still have this, and you know, I'm just so thankful that I still have a lot of these old comic books from when I was a kid. There's a couple of other Hulk, some nostalgia from the Hulk. These are from, I believe, they were newspapers, newspaper printings, news strips, and I can't remember. I'm trying to see when these came out actually. So these are first printings. These came out in 80 and 81. There's also a cool little thing on the back there with the Hulk. But these reprinted the comic strips from the newspapers, and the thing about it in these is that Banner's name is David, which I thought was kind of cool. So it's almost like these were kind of more tied into the television series than the actual comic books. Another cool Hulk item that I have is the Marvel Masterworks, which collects the first 6 issues of the Hulk. And this was actually something I had toyed with getting signed by Stan Lee when I met him 2 years ago. But I opted to get, you know, I mean, one day if I ever have the money, I would love to have an original, the first issue of the Hulk. Issue number 2 in there. Got issue number 3. Issue number 4 right there. Issue number 5, which is one of my favorite Hulk covers. All drawn by the amazing Jack Kirby, with the exception of parts issue number 6, which was done by Steve Ditko. Yeah, just an amazing book, and so happy to have this. But my real prized possession is, you know, I have. Sorry about the glare with the light there, but that's it. And my wife did the background in the frame there. But yeah, it's signed by Stan Lee. There's his autograph right there. And it is an original Hulk number 5. And again, not in the greatest shape. It's a little battered. But, you know, again, I got to meet Stan Lee and have him sign like one of my prized possessions. Some other great Hulk books that I have. These are old. Even though I wasn't a fan of Ang Lee's Hulk, I do have the official movie adaptation right here. Not a fan of that movie at all. Another really great Hulk book is called The End Hulk, and this is one where Hulk is like in this kind of like wasteland of what was civilization, and it's just a really, really interesting book. I've always loved the artwork in this book. I also have quite a few Hulk figures in my collection. Here's some of them right here. This one is relatively new. I got him last year. It was a Disney Store exclusive. This one here makes noise when you push his stomach.
Hulk smash! Hulk smash more!
This one's one of my favorites. Some other little Hulks that I have. This one actually right here, this one right there, used to be on like a little bike. It was like a Hulk bike. So it's actually, the figure of the bike actually broke and I just took the figure off of it. But it was something from my childhood. That's probably the oldest thing in this room. Yeah, I have quite a few little Hulks. And the newest Hulk figure I just picked up at Flying Colors Comics, and that is the Avengers Age of Ultron Marvel Select, which is fucking fantastic. I just think the likeness on this is fantastic. I mean, it really looks like the Hulk from the Avengers and the Avengers Age of Ultron. Really got the likeness down. Of course, it says the Avengers Hulk Special Collector's Edition action figure. And he will be coming out of the package. I will showcase him off outside of it. Side, you got him right there. It's an awesome picture. I'll probably cut that picture out and save it. And on the back, there's a little write-up about him. Shows him right there. And then it also talks about some other figures in the line, like Thor and Black Widow. Took me a little while to get him outside the packaging, but I think he's pretty fucking badass. He is heavy too. Really excellent job on this figure. The likeness on him is great. Really looks like the version of the Hulk from the Avengers movies. See the back of him. So, with regards to the movies, I have seen the Avengers Age of Ultron, and I fucking loved it. I love the Incredible Hulk film also, that Ed Norton, Liv Tyler, Tim Roth, William Hurt, and that was directed by Louis Leterrier, that came out in 2008. I absolutely love this movie, and next to the two Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Captain America the Winter Soldier, it is my favorite Marvel movie. Those are my favorites, but I absolutely love the Incredible Hulk. I really love the theme, or I really love the tone of the film. It really did a great job of paying homage to not only the comic books, but also the television series from the 70s and 80s that I absolutely loved. And I thought that Ang Lee's Hulk was absolutely horrible, and I refuse to ever watch that film again or buy it. It's a film that I just am not a fan of at all. There was a couple of cool things about it. The panels, I thought that was kind of cool. After a while, it got a little irritating, and I just didn't like the caricature of the Hulk. I didn't like the fact that there was just so many things about Ang Lee's Hulk I just didn't like. I didn't think Eric Bana was a good Banner. I thought Ed Norton really surpassed him, and initially I was very disappointed that Ed Norton wasn't coming into the Avengers film as Banner, that he was recast because of he had a disagreement with the studio and over the cut of the Incredible Hulk, and yeah, that was really disappointed. But I have to say, I absolutely love Mark Ruffalo as Banner. I think he brings so much to the table as the character. He has that empathy. He has that that twinkle in his eye, and he does a really good job of balancing both the character of the Hulk and Banner. I think he does a fantastic job, and I love the Avengers movie. And like I said, Avengers Age of Ultron is fantastic. I absolutely had a blast with it. I actually like it just as much as the first Avengers film. And I hope that eventually we will get another solo Hulk film. I think it's long overdue. So I want to thank everyone for taking the time to watch this Comic Book Wednesday. I know it's a little different from what I usually do, but this one is, of course, focusing on my favorite superhero of all time, which will always be the Incredible Hulk. I absolutely love the character. I've just always been fascinated by the Jekyll Hyde kind of characters, and just since I was a little boy, 3 or 4 years old, watching that show for the first time, it's always been something that's been near and dear to my heart. I love that the character is so popular now because of the Avengers films. I was hoping that the solo Incredible Hulk movie would really catapult the character, but I think it just took him being in the Avengers to really showcase, just how amazing and wonderful this character actually is. And I still am holding out for a solo Hulk movie. I'm hopeful that it'll happen, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. So again, thanks so much everyone for watching this very special Comic Book Wednesday focusing on the Incredible Hulk. And please share your feedback in the comment section below. I'd like to hear what everyone has to say about this video. Share what your favorite superhero character is. And next week I will be doing another Comic Book Wednesday that again will be different, and this time I'll be focusing on my favorite supervillain of all time. So I hope everyone looks forward to that. And thank you so much again. And please stay tuned for some more videos coming very soon. Hope everyone has a great evening. Take it easy. Peace.